Hi, my name is Summer, and if chaos were a sport, my family would have Olympic medals. My dad runs a funeral business, but not in a gloomy way. No. He treats it like he's planning 5-star farewell parties. He believes every goodbye deserves comfort, style, and excellent customer service. That's his phrase. My mom, on the other hand, creates perfumes, not normal ones, artistic ones, emotional ones. Scents that are supposed to tell a story. Our house constantly smells like dramatic life decisions. And then there's me. Short temper, average grades, professional life. I wasn't exactly the main character at school, unless the story was about detention. The only person who really mattered to me there was my best friend, Carmen. She's the kind of person who apologizes when someone bumps into her. Too kind. Too soft for high school. So, naturally, I appointed myself her bodyguard. If someone made her cry, they dealt with me. I wasn't proud of it, but I also wasn't stopping. Life was weird, but it was ours. Predictable chaos, until Kevin showed up. Mom called us into the living room like she was announcing a surprise vacation. Sitting on our couch was this tall, calm, slightly too handsome for-a-house guy with messy blonde hair and a polite smile. "Summer," Mom said sweetly, which was suspicious already. "This is your cousin, Kevin. He's from France." "Cousin? We have cousins in France." Apparently, yes. A distant connection. Complicated. Family. Tree. The kind you need a microscope to understand. Kevin stood up and shook my hand like we were in a historical drama. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you." I narrowed my eyes. "Finally." He smiled. Not smug. Not nervous. Just calm. And that annoyed me. From day one, Kevin acted like he belonged there. He helped Dad reorganize paperwork. He listened to Mom talk about perfume like it was the meaning of life. He even complimented her rainy Thursday nostalgia scent. No one compliments that one. Then the gifts started. He surprised Dad with new equipment for the business. Bought Mom kitchen appliances she'd been manifesting. Paid for small repairs around the house without being asked. Were those that? At first, I assumed he was trying too hard. Or hiding something. Nobody is that perfect. And then there was the worst part. He was nice to Carmen, not flirty, not weird, just kind. When Carmen's little brother suddenly needed emergency surgery, everything became chaos. Their stepmother panicked. Their dad was unreachable. Hospital halls, doctors, forms, stress. And Kevin just stepped forward. "I'll handle it," he said quietly. He paid for the surgery without making a big show of it. He brought food to the hospital every day because Carmen hated hospital meals. He cracked dumb jokes to make her brother smile. I kept waiting for the catch. There wasn't one. One night at the hospital, after Carmen had fallen asleep, Kevin and I ended up sitting near the vending machines. The lights were dim. The hallway was quiet. "You don't always have to fight everything," he said suddenly. I looked at him. "Excuse me. You walk around like the world owes you an apology." "Well, maybe it does." He didn't argue. He just nodded. "Maybe. But sometimes it's not about winning. It's about choosing who you want to be." That annoyed me even more, because it made sense. Over the next few days, something shifted. I noticed I wasn't snapping at people as fast. I paused before reacting. I actually thought before speaking, which was terrifying, because it meant it was getting to me, and the more I saw him, the harder it was to hate him. He admitted one evening, almost casually, that he wished he'd had a normal childhood, that he never really got to just be a kid. For the first time, he didn't look confident. He looked tired, and I felt something strange in my chest. Not anger, not suspicion. Something softer. That's when I knew I was in trouble. Because this wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was a crush, and crushing on your mysterious cousin from France situation. Complicated. I tried to ignore it, until the day everything shattered. Carmen and I were in the hospital cafeteria waiting for Kevin to pick us up. A news report flickered on the TV mounted in the corner. I wasn't really paying attention until a face flashed on the screen. "Authorities are still searching for Stephen Heaven," the reporter said. "Wanted in connection with a bank robbery in England. He escaped custody 2 months ago." The photo filled the screen. Blonde hair. Green eyes. Different hairstyle. But the same face. My stomach dropped. "Carmen," I whispered. "Tell me I'm imagining this." She stared at the screen, then at me. "That looks exactly like Kevin." The air felt thinner. Suddenly every generous gift, every mysterious detail, every unanswered question came rushing back. We didn't wait. We rushed. Only the house was too quiet. No music, no clattering dishes, no dad humming dramatically in the kitchen. Just silence. My heart pounded as I walked toward the basement door. It was slightly open. "Mom?" I called. No answer. I pushed the door slowly, and suddenly, a hand grabbed my arm and pulled me inside. I gasped. The lights flicked on. My parents were sitting on chairs. Carmen was there. Her little brother too, and standing in front of us, Kevin. He didn't look panicked. He didn't look angry. He looked calm. Calm. "I'm not here to explain myself," he said quietly. My throat felt dry. "Kevin, tell me this isn't what it looks like." He looked at me, and for a split second I saw the same softness from the hospital hallway. But then it was gone. "Am I guilty?" he said. "Yes." The room went silent. "Am I leaving?" he continued. "Also, yes." Before anyone could move, he grabbed Carmen's little brother and headed toward the back door. "Kevin, stop!" I shouted. He paused for half a second, just long enough to look at me one last time, and then he was gone. Seconds later, loud pounding shook the front door. FBI opened up. My world tilted, and in that moment, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just scared of losing him, I was scared of what I felt for him, and I had no idea which part of him was real. To be continued. I found him at the beach. I don't even know how I knew he'd be there. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was hope. Or maybe it was because Kevin always talked about how the ocean made him feel small in a good way. Like his problems were in tea. The biggest thing in the world. From far Hawaii, I saw a kite dancing in the sky. And underneath it, Kevin and Carmen's little brother. They were laughing, not scared, not hurt. Just laughing. My knees nearly gave out from relief. Carmen's brother ran toward me first. He bought me ice cream, he said. Like that, explained everything. Kevin stood a few steps behind him, hands in his pockets, wind brushing his hair back. For once, he didn't look like the confident, slightly annoying hero of every situation. He looked tired. "You came," he said softly. "Obviously," I replied, trying to sound tougher than I felt. "You're not exactly subtle." He gave a small smile. I stepped closer. "You didn't hurt him." Kevin looked almost offended. "Then, tell me the truth," I said. "All of it." For a moment, he just watched the waves. Then he started talking. His dad had helped run several banks back in England. Successful, respected, powerful. But when Kevin's mom got sick, everything started falling apart. His dad stopped sleeping, stopped smiling, stopped being himself. He thought if he could just fix one thing, Kevin said quietly, everything else would fall back into place. But instead of fixing things, his dad made a terrible decision, one desperate move that spiraled out of control. Kevin had followed him that day, hoping to stop him. He'd worn a mask, thinking maybe he could talk sense into him without anyone knowing he was there. But panic doesn't listen to logic. Alarms went off. People ran. Security guards got hurt trying to stop the chaos. And the confusion, it looked like Kevin was part of it. The footage only showed a masked guy, he said. Me. His father escaped with the money, but crashed shortly after and fell into a coma. Kevin was arrested, and when the lawyers told him it didn't look good, he panicked. I didn't know what to do, he admitted. So, I ran to my house, I asked. He nodded. And loud enough to distract me from my own thoughts. I let out a shaky laugh. His expression softened. I didn't plan to stay long. But then, my heart skipped. Me. I tried to keep my voice steady. You were chaos. Fire. Always ready to fight the world. And somehow, you made me want to be better. Not run anymore. The air felt heavier. Before I could respond, sirens echoed in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed across the sand. Kevin didn't move. He didn't try to escape. He just looked at me. He tried to stop it. Premeditated firmly. You're arresting the wrong person. They didn't answer me. They took him anyway. That night, I didn't sleep. But I didn't rage either. For the first time in my life, I thought before reacting. Kevin didn't need me to throw punches. He needed me to fight smart. So that's what I did. I started asking questions, calling numbers, researching laws I barely understood. I talked to lawyers. Most of them charged more than my entire house was worth. Dad, surprisingly, stood beside me. He made mistakes, Dad said. But running from fear doesn't make you evil. It makes you human. Mom even sold her most emotionally significant perfume collection to help pay legal fees, which, for her, was basically a heroic sacrifice. Carmen helped too. Between visiting her recovering brother and dealing with school gossip, she still showed up every day. You changed, she told me once. You don't scare me anymore. That hit harder than anything. Weeks turned into months. Evidence was re-examined. Witnesses were interviewed again. Slowly, the truth began to untangle itself. Security footage showed Kevin trying to pull someone away from the chaos, not cause it. Agar remembered him shouting for everyone to step back. Details that had been ignored before suddenly mattered. And one morning, the charges were reduced, then cleared. Kevin walked out of court into sunlight. For a second, we just stared at each other. Then, primera, not to fight, not to argue, just to hug him. You owe me, I whispered into his shoulder. For stress. For lost sleep. For emotional damage. He laughed softly. I'll start with staying. And he did. He didn't run this time. He enrolled in school. Started therapy. Faced the consequences he could control. Visited his father in the hospital once he was strong enough to. One evening, months later, we went back to that same beach. And they want me back. The ocean suddenly didn't feel peaceful anymore. It felt uncertain, like the next wave could change everything. To be continued.